You've likely heard that humans only use 10% of their brains. It's a complete lie, yet it's one of the most persistent facts in history. Here's why your brain is wired to believe it. The truth is that brain imaging shows activity across the entire organ, even while you sleep. There is no dormant 90% waiting to be unlocked. We believe the myth because our brains are efficiency-seeking machines, not truth-seeking ones. This brings us to the illusory truth effect. You hear a claim once and feel skeptical. You hear it again and it feels plausible. By the third time, it's common knowledge. Repetition makes information easier to process, a concept called fluency. Your brain mistakes that ease for accuracy. It's a mental shortcut. If it's easy to think about, your brain assumes it must be true. That is why myths stick around for decades. When you encounter a statement, your brain checks it against what you already know. If it's new, you expend energy to evaluate it. If you've heard it before, that step is bypassed. The information feels familiar, and you conflate that familiarity with truth. This is why simple, punchy sentences are more persuasive than complex arguments. If a statement is easy to read, your brain experiences higher fluency, which it again mistakes for truth. Think about a social media headline. It was short, bold, and easy to digest. Because it was so easy to process, you were more likely to accept it as fact without checking the source. Then there is source amnesia. We often remember the information but forget where we learned it. You might remember hearing that a food is a superfood, but you can't recall if you read it in a peer-reviewed journal or saw it in a sponsored post. When the source fades, the information remains stripped of context. This is dangerous because the source is the most important part of evaluating a claim. If you can't remember where you heard something, you can't judge its credibility. The headline stays, but the newspaper or website fades into a blank page. You are left with a belief, but no way to trace it back. This leads to the trap of intuition. We think our gut feelings are reliable guides, but that is just another form of cognitive ease. When you have a strong gut feeling, it's often just your brain telling you the information is familiar. You aren't evaluating evidence. You are reacting to the comfort of a known idea. This is why it's hard to change someone's mind. Their gut tells them the familiar lie is true, and your new complex facts cause cognitive friction. Their brain interprets that friction as a sign that you are wrong. Many of us think we are immune. We think we are critical thinkers who check sources. But this is the trap of confirmation bias. We are wired to seek out information that confirms what we believe and ignore what challenges it. When we encounter information that aligns with our worldview, it feels right. It's easy to process. It fits our existing mental model. We don't verify it because it feels obviously true. We are filtering the world through a lens that only lets in what we want to see. It gets worse. Even when presented with a correction, the original lie lingers. This is the continued influence effect. You might read a fact check, but the myth is more memorable than the correction. The lie was repeated and is familiar. The correction is complex and requires you to unlearn something you've already accepted. The lie stays in your memory while the correction is relegated to the background. There is also the sleeper effect. A message from a low credibility source can become more persuasive over time. At first, you dismiss a claim because you know the source is unreliable. But as time passes, you forget the source thanks to source amnesia, but you remember the message. The message, now detached from its discrediting source, starts to gain traction. It becomes a standalone fact. This is a classic tactic in propaganda. They know that if they repeat a lie often enough, you will eventually forget where you heard it, and the lie will take root. Consider how this plays out in a coffee shop. You hear a rumor about a local business. At first you dismiss it, but then you see it on your phone, scrolling through a feed. Then you hear a friend mention it in passing. By the time you repeat it to someone else, the rumor has transformed into a perceived reality. You have become a carrier of the lie. Not because you verified it, but because the repetition made it feel like a settled fact. This cycle is relentless. How do we fight back? The first step is awareness. You know your brain is wired for efficiency, not truth. You know repetition creates a false sense of accuracy. When you hear a claim that feels familiar, pause. Ask yourself, where did I hear this? Is it possible I'm just accepting it because I've heard it before? When you see a headline that confirms your beliefs, be extra skeptical. That is when your confirmation bias is most active. The second strategy is to seek out cognitive friction. Instead of looking for information that is easy to process, look for information that challenges you. Read sources you don't typically agree with. Look for evidence that contradicts your understanding. This will be uncomfortable. It will feel like a rocky, uphill climb compared to the smooth path of your existing beliefs. But that discomfort is a sign that you are actually thinking, not just reacting. You are engaging your critical faculties instead of relying on your brain's lazy shortcuts. Third, always try to trace the source. If you can't find a reliable primary source for a claim, treat it with extreme caution. Don't just accept it because it's on a popular website or a friend shared it. Dig deeper. Find out who is making the claim and what their evidence is. If the source is anonymous or untraceable, that is a huge red flag. Remember, the most persuasive lies are the ones stripped of their origins. Finally, be patient. Changing your mind is a slow, deliberate process. Don't expect to be perfect. You will still fall for the illusory truth effect. You will still experience confirmation bias. The goal isn't to be immune. The goal is to be aware so you can catch yourself. When you find yourself accepting something just because it feels right, stop and ask for the evidence. By understanding these mechanisms, you are taking control of your own mind. You are no longer a passive recipient of information, but an active participant in your own understanding. You can spot the illusory truth effect in your daily life, from the news you read to the conversations you have. You can see the patterns of repetition and the traps of cognitive ease. And most importantly, you can choose to verify. You can choose to look for the truth, even when it's not the easiest path. This is the power of critical thinking. It's not about being smarter than everyone else. It's about being aware of how your own brain works. It's about recognizing that your brain is a tool, and like any tool, it has its limitations. When you understand those limitations, you can work around them. You can build a more accurate, more nuanced understanding of the world. So, the next time you hear a claim that sounds too good to be true, or that feels like something you've heard 1,000 times before, take a breath. Don't let your brain's desire for efficiency lead you into a trap. Question the source. Look for the evidence. Embrace the friction of critical thinking. It might be harder, but it's the only way to find the truth. If you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of how we think and why we believe what we believe. And if there is a specific myth or cognitive bias you've encountered in your own life, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories and explore them in a future video. Together, we can become better, more informed thinkers, one myth at a time. Remember, your brain is capable of incredible things, but it needs your help to stay on the right track. Don't let it settle for the easy answer. Keep questioning, keep digging, and keep seeking the truth. It's worth the effort. It is a constant, daily practice of vigilance. Every time you pause to verify, you are strengthening your mental defenses. You are choosing to value accuracy over the comfort of familiarity. That is a choice you make every single day, in every interaction, and with every piece of information you consume. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep questioning. It is a vital skill in our modern age of information overload. By mastering these simple yet powerful cognitive strategies, you are equipping yourself to navigate the complex landscape of truth and falsehood. You are building a shield against the subtle, yet pervasive, influence of the illusory truth effect. This is not just about avoiding myths, it is about reclaiming your own cognitive autonomy. It is about ensuring that your beliefs are built on a foundation of evidence, not just the echo of repetition. So, go forth with this knowledge and let it guide your interactions with the world. Be the person who pauses, who questions, and who seeks the truth. Your brain will thank you for it, and your understanding of the world will be all the richer for it. Keep questioning, keep digging, and keep seeking the truth. It is the most important work you can do